Hey, it's Rob. In the video you're about to watch, we use a multimeter to chase down a parasitic draw. The video will take some twists and turns, but the procedures that we figured out what to do to chase down that parasitic draw are pretty solid, and they're going to help some people if they stay through and watch the video. So I think, I haven't edited it yet, I think it's going to be a little on the long side, but in the end, we get the car fixed, which is our primary goal. But we also learn some things, and sometimes little problems like this, parasitic draw, little things, it's like a puzzle, a challenge that you try to figure out, and when in the end, when you figure it out, you're happy. This one doesn't actually go in the direction I thought it was going to go. It goes completely sideways. Either way, the car got fixed, and I learned something, and you'll learn something too. So enjoy the video. .2.080 amp draw on the battery. So although we saw a change when I disconnected the remote start, that wasn't the problem. That might have just been the normal drain from the remote start. The remote start module is going to drain the battery a little bit. 50 milliamp is the golden rule with everything shut down, a 50 milliamp draw, but now I'm at 2 amps almost. It's fluctuating, but I would go 1.9, 2.86, 1.9, 1.8, it's moving around. But I'm gonna go 2 amp draw. So I have a 2 amp draw on the battery. That's why the battery's sinking the way it is. So we gotta look elsewhere. And I guess that's gonna be continued tomorrow. Well, for me tomorrow, for you right now. So I couldn't leave it for the night. I had to keep going. It's dark, I know. But I put my amp meter back on, and I pulled my starter relay out, and it went down to 0. So either this relay is bad, my starter relay, which I think I have more of these, but either my starter relay went bad, or it's the starter itself. So we got a bunch of these relays, and one of them is parking lamps right next to it. So I can take out my parking lamp relay and put it in the starter amp relay spot, and take a look at my gauge here, and I plugged it in. My gauge did spike a little when I plugged it in, and it's going down, and it's going down slowly, which might be okay, because when I pulled the starter relay out, it took a while for it to go down to 0. It didn't immediately go down to 0, and then it did. Now I'm looking, and I'm at 0.119. Now I'm at 0.071. It's dropping. .071. So that's a 71 milliamp draw on the whole system. I don't have any lights on. I don't have it latched, so it does have an aftermarket radio. 51 milliamps is where we want to be. If I pull this out, let me see if it goes to 0. I'm going to pull it out. I thought I saw it go to 0 with the other one removed. It's possible I woke something up pulling the parking lamp one out. This is the one that was in the parking lamp. Plug that back in, nothing changes. 0.071. So if I go to milliamps, that should be 71 milliamps. Oh, on the milliamp scale, it's reading 3 milliamps. If I go to amps, DC amps, 0.071. If I go to milliamps, DC, if I go to the milliamp scale now, I'm at 30 milliamps. So let me plug my bad relay back in. Oh, I don't know why it's reading funny. Because when I go to milliamps, I got to change my leads. And it's giving me 49 milliamps. And I plugged it back in. Here, you go in. Stand here watching me.
I didn't know if you needed me. You said don't go anywhere.
Well, that was before when I was doing something. Alright, strange. So I took the starter relay out, put it back in. That's what I said about it being reset. Once I took it out, it dropped. I bet this starter relay was stuck latched. No, it's me. It's me being faulty on the gauge. Alright, so with the starter relay back in, I'm back anywhere from 2 to 1.6 amps to 2 amps. Pull the starter relay out. And then it starts to drop. Slowly, but it starts to drop. Okay, it drops to 72 milliamps. So I got 72 milliamps with that starter relay out. Now, if I take my parking light relay, I put it in my starter relay, and it seems to be staying at 72 milliamps. Alright, so now I'm at 72 milliamps. Let me plug back in my remote start module. Okay, the remote start module is plugged back in. And now let's see what our drop is. And I'm back up to 1.6 amps. Take the starter relay out. I'm still at 1.6 amps. Could I have potentially had two problems? No. Well, yeah, I guess so. I could have had two problems. Oh no, here it's dropping now. Oh, it's dropping. Let's start it really out. Let me try locking the truck up. It's dropping. Okay, the starter relay is in. The known good relay is in. Okay, and it's dropping off now. Oh, you know what it is? I'm breaking the connection. Alright, it's me again using the meter wrong, because every time I move the probe that I'm holding, I have on the battery cable side I have it clamped on. On the battery side I'm holding it, and every time I go to reset where I'm holding it, I'm actually disconnecting the ground and reconnecting the ground, which is re-energizing the system in the car, which must be powering up that module, because now that I'm holding it steady and not moving it, it's dropping down, dropping down, dropping down, dropping down. 77 milliamps. So what are we at? 71, 72 before I had it set in. So it's only asking for another 6 or so milliamps. So now I'm at 77. Let me lock the vehicle. Locked it. Oh, and it jumped up. So I just locked the truck, and it jumped up to 4. Right? It's a 4 amp draw. Now it's a 1.6 amp draw. Dropping down, dropping down, dropping down, dropping down, dropping down, dropping down. So, could it have been the starter relay all the time? Well, we're going to find out, because I swapped it out with this one here. So now, what I can do is reconnect my negative battery cable. DC volts on my battery, 10.39. I don't know if that's going to be enough to start it. Let's give it a shot and see what happens. Alright, so that's not going to be enough to start it. In the meantime, I'm going to plug this back in. I'm going to turn that off. This relay we think is bad. This was the starter relay. I'm going to go look for another relay and let this battery charge up, and then maybe we'll get somewhere. So last night in the dark, we left off with a pretty good idea that it was something in the starting circuit, because we pulled that starter relay and we got rid of that 2 amp draw. And I plugged back in the automatic start relay, and the automatic start relay seemed to only give us like, what was it, 5, 6, or 7 milliamps added to the normal parasitic draw that was on this, which was, I think, 71 we measured to, 71 milliamps, which allotting for the automatic start and the aftermarket radio and amp in it and shit like that. We figured that was okay. 50 is the golden rule. 77 with the automatic start module plugged in, I thought was okay. And we ran out of battery and light, and it was freezing, and it's still freezing today. It's snowing, actually flurries, it's gray. So I came out to the truck. It's been on the trickle charger all night. Open the hood, look at the trickle charger. It had cycled through, and it was indicating that it was done charging the battery. Checked the battery voltage, and it was at 10.15. So 10 volts on the battery after it charged overnight. Something's still going on. We have no relays. The starter relay was removed during the charging process, so that wasn't it. There was a little nugget though that I kind of missed. If you remember, when I was checking the voltage as it was charging at like just over 12 with the trickle charger on, which didn't seem abnormal to me because it's a trickle charger. And then I unplugged the automatic start module and checked that same voltage, and it was like at 14. So is that automatic start module causing the battery not to charge? Is that our problem all along, and maybe that starter relay was stuck because of the automatic start module? I don't know, but we can't figure it out until we have a fully charged battery. So I took out the big dog, and I have the trickle charger off. I got the big snap-on charger on. I unplugged the automatic start relay, so the module, so we don't have that in the mix. We don't have a starter relay in. Battery is connected to the truck. We're charging it up, and we're going to see if we can get a full charge on the battery, and then I might as well just run a battery test to make sure that the battery is not bad after all. I mean, we're just assuming it's a good battery because it's a fairly new battery. We could have just chunked the battery. I think I'm kind of leaning now towards the automatic start module. Or maybe we have more than one problem that just, you know, you have one problem and you can get by with the one problem, and then a second problem in the same circuit occurs, maybe a bad starter, maybe a shorted starter, and then it compounds each other, and then you realize that you had two problems all along and you didn't know it. But we'll see. We're going to let this charge, and then we'll see what we got. Always wanted to say this. There's your problem, lady. All right, so every single forum thread, every video I've watched, everything I've done about voltage testing or parasitic draw, voltage drop, all that shit, always said make sure you start with a good battery. And I just assumed it was good because I put the trickle charger on it, and the trickle charger showed battery charged, mission accomplished. Checked the battery voltage, and the battery voltage was, when I checked it right after trickle charging, was good. And then we saw it starting to drop real fast. We assumed parasitic draw on that drop real fast. Could it be the battery? Well, I charged the battery in the vehicle with everything connected, and it charged real quick in like 2 or 3 minutes, but it showed the cold cranking amps to be in the 50s instead of the 800 where it's supposed to be. So I disconnected the battery from the vehicle and charged it as if it was out of the vehicle, even though I left it in the engine compartment, and charged it again. Same thing, charged real fast, like it was reading fully charged. So it was tricking the little trickle chargers, tricking the little trickle charger, and it was reading fully charged on the big snap-on. So I ran it through battery test, and it failed miserably. I think the most it got out, it was 5 volts max under load and the available cold cranking amps 54, even adjusted for the temperature that we're at today, which is about 30 degrees or so. It does ask you what the current temperature of the battery is. So adjusted for everything, final voltage on this battery is 9.23. It's a 9-month-old battery that has failed. Now, could that be making everything go crazy? Maybe. And the only way we're going to know now is to put a good battery in it, plug everything back in the way it was, and see if we have a parasitic draw or not. And that's what we're going to do. I'm going to go run to the old gray Suburban that we have, which is not a parts vehicle, but it's parked, not being used, and we're going to pirate the battery out of that. It's an old battery, but it seems to be functioning. This is a new battery that's going to go back for warranty. It's an interstate. So one step at a time, we're going to go get another battery, fully charge it with the snap-on charger, and we're going to put it in and see what our end result is. It could have very possibly been a bad battery all along that was just sucking everything and making the systems do weird things. Not a parasitic draw like we thought it was. All right, so we took a battery out of the gray Suburban, brought it over here, charged it. It doesn't necessarily test great. It's not testing bad, but the cold cranking amp's a half of what it should be. But it did work in that truck, and that truck's only been sitting for a week or so. So we think we'll be all right. So what I did was I latched, it's getting really windy, latched the door, put the battery in, let it go to sleep. Let me show you. So we let it go to sleep, and before we let it go to sleep, we have one terminal of the meter clamped on the battery negative, the other terminal of the meter clamped on the negative battery cable. So we're in series through the meter on amps, and we got DC amps 0.080, and you just sort of fluctuate to 90 there. So we have 80 milliamps draw on the battery, which is 30 higher than we would like to see. However, we do have the automatic start connected, we do have the aftermarket radio in there, and it blips to 90 every certain amount of seconds. It's the same blip. If you watch it, it stays at 80, then it'll just blip to 90 and go back to 80. And I believe that's going to be an LED light that's flashing every certain amount of time. That's in that module that helps control the radio. It's like that you have to put a module in before the aftermarket radio, and there's an LED light on that blips, and I believe that's going to be our little spike there that we see. Now, hopefully this 80 isn't enough to kill the battery. I don't think it is. I think we'll be safe. Last night we were measuring at 79. I do have all the relays back in, but now here's my thought, is when we go to start it, is that starter relay going to get stuck like it did? We put the exact same relays back in the same spot, and we're going to try it out and see if we have any success here. So I'm gonna hook up the battery, and let's see what we get. So with the battery installed properly now, you can't start the car with the with the meter installed. That just wouldn't work. I'm just going to try to automatic start it and see what happens. All right, everything off, locked. See what my battery voltage is. Battery voltage is at 1267, and it ain't moving. It's not dropping. 65, let's call it. 1265. I got the vehicle shut down and locked. All right, I'm gonna let it sit for a couple minutes and see if the battery drops off fast like it was dropping off. I don't anticipate it. I think all our problems were from a bad freaking battery. Right? Check that first, and I thought I checked it because the battery was new, and I put the trickle charger on, and the trickle charger said fully charged. But was it really? It was just a shit battery. Holy cow. All right, so locked up, sitting, let it sit for 15 minutes or so, went in, had a cup of coffee. It is freaking freezing out here. It's got to be 25 degrees. Checking it, I'm down to 12.64, so it lost, 0.01 of a volt in the sitting. I think our problem is solved. It was a bad battery all along. The low voltage in the battery apparently will wreak havoc in your electrical systems. So that low voltage in the battery caused my starter relay to hang, which made a parasitic draw problem. So we were chasing our tails all because of the bad battery, and I guess that's why they say make sure you start with a good battery before you start checking for different parasitic draws and such, which I thought I did, but I really didn't. And putting a battery on a load tester, or having a load tester to properly test the battery, is more important than I thought it was, especially with cars that do have computer controls and modules and things like that. So we're fixed. We're going to warranty that battery. This one will stay in here temporarily until we get that battery warranted. 9 months old. It's an interstate battery. I bought it at Costco. That's where I buy my interstate batteries. It lasted 9 months. So I got to go dig out that receipt and get a new one and get it in here. And I think Barry White will be fixed and I can start using it again. Actually, I'm going to start using it again today because I'm tired of driving the backup vehicle, which is a different story for a different day. Hope you enjoyed the video. As always, thanks for watching.